Hello, fabulous superstar Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of September 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. As soon as we begin the month, right out of the gate, it is going to be Saturn that retrogrades back into the top of your sky. This is a part of the sky that has to do with career, social standing, life purpose, and your understanding of a higher, more loving vision for your life. And if you think back, it was March 2023 that Saturn first stepped into this part of the sky, retrograded out in the later part of May this year, and now is back to wrap up loose ends. Whatever might be happening, keep in mind that it might in some way feel like it awakens that sense of, for some, ambition, determination, but for others, just change. It's about acknowledging the superficial and deciding that's not the way you want to go anymore. Saturn is all about building something real and putting in the time, but also admitting where you've already put in the time, where you've already made sacrifices. And if that isn't working for you anymore, at the very least, you're able to see it that much more clearly. So just pace yourself and be yourself. You know, I like to say that, but especially as you are navigating this time, a lot more is set to come forward, come outward, especially in the context of your understanding of sacred ambition, your understanding of purpose. This is a time of identifying what you really want, what's worth the work and worth the sacrifice, and giving it that much more your all now. And you will likely find that you're going to reap rewards as a result of the things that you put into place now, especially once we get beyond February of next year. It is in February that Saturn will leave this part of the sky for good, not to return for about 2.5 decades. So that's a nice long time. You are not going to have Saturn at the top of your sky. And normally, as soon as Saturn leaves, that's really when blessings feel like they magnify that much more, which becomes very possible for you here. Navigating forward on the 6th of the month, this just might be the most important day of the month, I would say, for you, in a very important and consequential month, because Uranus in your sign will stand still and go retro. This is huge, okay? This is very significant. This is an epiphany, an awakening, a light bulb, and it is happening right at the heart of you. It is about you getting very clear, in some cases in an instant, who you are, but also who you are not. It's about seeing yourself more differently, being more honest with yourself, and where it is that you haven't been clear and honest with yourself, where it is that you've been betraying some truth of who you are. This is when you see it and you make a different choice. Big changes become possible, especially with a month like this. I mean, we are going to have eclipse season that I'll talk about in just a second, but you add to this Uranus going retro, and you add to it Uranus going retro in your sign. You have not had this phenomenon in your sign. Look, Uranus goes retro once a year. Uranus goes direct once a year. Those moments just before Uranus changes directions, it is considered stationary. And that is when it is at the height of his power. So you get those two events happening over the course of any given year time span. However, this is the first time in about 8 decades that Uranus has stood still in your sign. It has been a good long time for many out there. This might be the first time you're experiencing this. So Uranus, stationary, regardless of what direction it goes in next, at the height of his power, tends to bring with it a shakeup and a wake up of some kind. But this is in your sign, which means that it reaches right to the heart of you. It reaches this very personal, very powerful place within yourself. And so stay open to possibilities, stay open to inspirations at this time also, because for many Geminis out there, it just might be in an instant that you see yourself very differently and you realize where you've settled for something superficial and that just doesn't work for you anymore. You want the truth of who you are. But because this is the first station, it does suggest that even though this is the beginning of a larger 7-year journey that you're going on, this is the moment that's likely to feel like one of the most significant because you have not had this energy in decades and decades before. Stay open because ultimately this is about inspiration. but it's also about trust, about who you are and whom you are meant to be next. It starts to feel a whole lot more clear, in some cases in an instant. And the next day, on the 7th of the month, we are going to begin eclipse season. Yes, here we are again. About every 6 months, we get this 2-week period of time between eclipses where the veils between the worlds are especially thin. The ancients believed this was where we could see through the mysteries and the illusions that much more readily. I like to think that means we're able to identify our spiritual lessons that much more readily as well. And the eclipses happening this month take place at the very top and the very bottom of your sky, which makes this that much more consequential. These are sensitive parts of your sky. They represent something of the skeleton of the chart. And when phenomenon takes place in either of these parts of the sky, it has this way of awakening and speaking to the entire chart, maybe even a feeling of your entire life. Now, having said that, here we get the first eclipse on the 7th of the month. And this is happening at the very top of your sky where Saturn moved into, right? This is a part of the sky that has to do with sacred ambition. It has to do with aiming high. It has to do with career and life purpose and the goals that you have for your life. The wonderful thing is that this lunar eclipse is speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter. And what that suggests is any full moon, really, but especially a lunar eclipse, which is really just a jacked up, much more powerful full moon, any big full moon lunar event or lunar eclipse that takes place here does represent a feeling that something has come to conclusion or culmination, that a certain chapter is feeling that much more fulfilled at this time. But because of that Jupiter trine, you are feeling very, very blessed as a result. And so this is a fortunate sense of change and maybe even completion as well, related to your career, related to going to an interview or audition situation. If anybody out there is likely to feel like you really made a good impression on higher ups, it certainly is you in moments that you did not expect, and you see how they come together for you. This can also be very powerful when considering a sense of your direction, what you feel your purpose is, and where it is that you've been caught up in something that ultimately isn't really true to you. You are going to see it that much more readily. A lot will start to look very different to you now. The thing we have to be careful of with eclipses is that with eclipses, it's a good idea to be open, right? It tends to be the case that it's like karma or fate tends to have this motivation and this will of its own, as may awaken for you at this time. And so, as much as I want to say go out there and make it happen, which is always a good thing, a sky like this also says be open to inspiration. See what opportunities show up for you. They just might be better than anything you could have planned for yourself. 2 weeks later, it is going to be that on the 21st, we have a solar eclipse. Now, think back. Last month, I was telling you that new moon that happened last month at the very beginning of the foundation of your chart. Well, now it is going to be this eclipse that happens at the very end of the bottom of your chart. Whatever's happening around this eclipse might in some way help you to see whatever was taking place about 3 weeks into last month differently in some way. You're interpreting it differently, if you will. Because this eclipse is a solar eclipse, it's a bold beginning, seemingly out of nowhere. But it's also at the very end of its respective sign. And that suggests that there is a sense here of things coming full circle, coming to closure in some way. That with this very bold beginning also comes a sense of ending or transition. And it's all part of strengthening the foundations of your life so that you can live that much more fully, be out there in the world that much more. This eclipse is part of what astrologers call a kite formation. So if you're a student of astrology, know that, yes, this larger kite formation is playing out, but it's not a true kite because they don't line up in terms of the aspects in terms of elements, they don't line up, but they do in terms of degrees. So that's the nerd talk. We'll put that aside to say, yeah, this is a really big deal of an energy. What we do have with precision is Saturn standing across the sky from this eclipse, which does suggest that it is tension or pressure going back and forth with another that is part of what feels like it awakens some deeper truth within you, some honesty within you as to whom you are responsible for and whom and what it is that you are not. And this is all part of understanding the strength on the ground on which you stand, what you want to put into place that you hope you can build from, whether that's a home, whether that's a business, whether that's just being comfortable within your own spirit, whether that has to do with reconciling with your past or maybe understanding your parents very differently, where that applies. These become parts of the potentials available to you that ultimately might come on in ways that might feel uncomfortable or stressful even as well, but unlock something within you that allows even bigger blessings to just rush on in. Where it comes to matters of love, it is going to be on the 18th of the month that Mercury is going to enter a heart-oriented part of the sky for you that has to do with romance, flirtation, and what the heart is wanting, what love is for you as well. Mercury is your ruling planet. So it isn't just about where Mercury is going, and that tends to represent what we're talking about, what we're thinking about. But it's about you finding that this area of life takes on that much more significance for you at this time. Having Mercury in this flirtatious part of the sky says that there's going to be part of you that's very engaged, wanting to have fun, wanting to experience moments of love. But the great thing with Mercury is, as an overall principle, it is a wonderful energy to communicate. If it is that you're open to meeting someone new, this does suggest that online flirtations have the potential to evolve into something more. And the lighter that you keep it in that online space and emphasize the mind level connection, it becomes that much more likely that it could lead to something else or something that feels stronger for you as well. Enjoy yourself. That really is key, especially once we get to Mercury moving into that part of the sky that in addition to flirtation and romance, it has to do with fun. Like, what's fun for you to do? And that's part of what could awaken for you as well. For those of you just starting to date someone, well, Mercury moving into a part of the sky that, in addition to what I mentioned, this is where dating happens, the joy and the experience that you have as you're getting to know another. What I really love about this is it encourages you to talk, it encourages spontaneity, it encourages you to learn about this person through communicating ideas, sharing more. That really is thanks to Mercury in this part of your sky. Where it is that this might be somebody to navigate forward with, you'll be able to see that much more readily now in those moments of joy that you experience. But the great thing is that there's so much trust in the heart at this time that if this is not someone to navigate forward with, well, you'll find ways to express that and communicate that in a way that feel right for you as well. And for those of you in an established bond, the overwhelming majority is going to find that you're able to be spontaneous, have fun together, plan to do things, but also keep it open to inspiration. And it is about verbalizing what love is for you, communicating what your needs might be on that level as part of strengthening the connection. Now, outside of that, it is possible, not necessarily, but one possibility is, well, look, that more flirtatious side of Mercury in this part of the sky might come out. Now, whether it is you feel flirty and sexy with your partner, or whether it is that flirtation takes place outside of that, and it awakens some understanding within you, ultimately, it is the heart that is letting you know what it is wanting. And where it is that relationships are good, it is going to be now that those connections, those relationships feel that much more connected on a heart level. But where that isn't the case, well, that awakening you have as a result of perhaps a very innocent flirtation lets you know what going another way might be for you. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say I love, well, Uranus going direct in your sign. That is a really big deal of an energy. And having Uranus go direct in your sign represents a real wake up as to whom it is that you are and where it is that you've gone off track with some truth of you. You're going to see that now in ways that might feel surprising, might even feel jarring for some Geminis out there, and yet really should be welcome because this is the gift of Uranus. It gets you to a place of knowing that you can be completely yourself and the freedom that comes from it. Well, thank you so much for watching. Consultations with me and Andy are available over on my website, nadiyashah.com/consultations. And also check out the Superstar space. Lots of bonuses there for members. And that is at thefutureismagical.com. All those links are below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.